Okay guys, welcome back. We left off talking about Klipat Noga and the unclean Klipas. The four Klipas, the shells that allow the physical and spiritual world to exist, because there was godliness and there was nothing other than God, and there still is nothing other than God. But from our perspective, there are spiritual worlds and there's this physical world that we live in. So God had to create a shell or a bunch of shells in order to hide the fact that he is giving life to all of this, but still allow it to exist in a way that we feel like it's here and we exist without seeing him. So that's why the Klipas were created. And we said that there's four. Three are unclean, totally impure. And one derives its sustenance from God, just like the other four, but has some cleanliness in it, meaning that what you do with it determines what you get out of it and whether you elevate it or not. So that is called Klipat Noga, and Klipat Noga is responsible for the creation and the sustenance of the Jew's animal soul, meaning we have our godly soul that's all godly, totally spiritual, perfect, a tzaddik, righteous. And then we have our animal soul, which most people associate the animal soul as being gross or coarse. The Jew's animal soul is actually made of Klipat Noga. And therefore what that means is that the Jew has a choice of whether to elevate his body or her body by utilizing what is created in this world for positive or negative. Positive being what the Torah requires of it or wants from it, what God wants from it, and negative being what God doesn't want, meaning the obstacles in the video game, like we talked about in the last episode, that basically say you are going to go against what God wants. Now, practical application, because last video was kind of conceptual. Let's talk about practical application. Everything in this world that is permissible is made from Klipat Noga, meaning in the order of descent, right? This is how the world was created. God decided that there was going to be spiritual worlds, and like a Plinko chip in Price is Right, it falls one boom, 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 all the way till it gets down to the bottom, and wherever it lands, it lands. But higher up, there's a lot more spirituality, meaning Klipat Noga in the highest world, highest spiritual world, is mostly good. And as it works its way down, it gets dressed in a more coarse fashion with more layers, that by the time Klipat Noga gets down to this world, it is like a diamond in the rough. So up there it starts as a diamond, and down here it's basically rough, and you have to peel away all these layers in order to get to the diamond. Now the four unclean klipas have no diamond, the three unclean klipas have no diamond inside. They're just rough. And Klipat Noga has this hidden diamond inside. The reason it's so hidden down here is because by the time it makes its way from the spiritual worlds down to here, it's so dressed up that it's very difficult to find the diamond. Okay, when we get to permissible things in this world, i.e., animals that have the ability to be kosher if they are shechted properly, if they're slaughtered properly, any item that can be used in a permissible way, the use of that item in a proper manner uncovers the rough and uncovers the diamond and removes the rough. And so when you take a cow or a kosher animal and you slaughter it properly, and now it's kosher and you eat it, you elevate the spiritual energy within it, and by doing that, you elevate your animal soul at the same time, because your animal soul is also made of Klipat Noga. Therefore, you can elevate yourself, your body, to a higher place, or you can degrade your body and your animal soul to a lower place, because Klipat Noga is a game of tug of war. And basically what that means is that it's sort of the intermediary. It's the bridge between pure godliness and filth. And depending on who's pulling on it, i.e., how you choose to use your animal soul with permissible things that are made from Noga, that determines whether it gets pulled in the tug of war towards godliness elevating its spiritual energy and elevating your animal soul simultaneously, or if you're going to go the other way. Now, the concept goes even further. Let's just say that you have a permissible kosher animal that you can eat, and you eat it for the sake of being able to have energy in your day to go ahead and work and provide parnasa for your family and give tzedakah and learn Torah and pray and do all these other things. You are utilizing that kosher animal for a permissible thing, and you're using it in order to be able to do more good. But let's just say that you were using it not because you needed the energy, because you already had it, but you were just super gluttonous and all you wanted to do was eat because it tasted so good and you just want more and more and more. Even though that item is permissible, you are actually using one of the aspects of the animal soul, which is to be gluttonous, and you are using a kosher item which could have been pulled in that tug of war towards positivity, and instead you are doing something negative with it. And so Klipat Noga is not just about the permissible, it's about your intention and the use of the permissible. Meaning, if I want to invite people to my house for a shir, and there's positivity in that, and I start off with a joke, the joke itself, if it's a permissible joke and it isn't anything inappropriate, and the point of that joke is to arouse the audience's attention so that they can learn Torah better, well then that's great. I used Klipat Noga for positivity. I elevated my speech by doing that because it was permissible speech. And I used something that normally can go either way for positive purposes. However, if they come to my house for a shir and we just tell jokes for an hour and there's no punchline at the end, which is we're learning or we're doing something positive, then it doesn't matter that those jokes were permissible. There's nothing accomplished, and technically we wasted it. So Klipat Noga is all about opportunity. The whole idea of Klipat Noga is that you have a chance to pull it in one direction or another, and it either elevates you or degrades you, and it either elevates the spiritual matter that gives life to it, or it doesn't. Anything that comes from the unclean klipas, no matter what you do with it, cannot elevate you and cannot elevate the spiritual energy behind it, because there is no diamond in the rough. So if I wanted to, make a bracha over some bacon, there's no, and then use that energy in order to study Torah and do mitzvahs. There's no way for me to elevate my animal soul. If anything, it degrades it, because I'm literally pulling on something that has no positivity. There's no extraction. There's nothing good to extract. So therefore, no matter what I do with it, I can't elevate that object. Now, this is why Shabbos is so special. On Shabbos, and this is just a side note, Klipat Noga is elevated to a higher realm. And the reason it's a mitzvah to enjoy on Shabbos and to have wine and meats and all sorts of permissible things, just for the sake of having them, is because Klipat Noga is elevated on Shabbos to the point where you don't even have to have intentions of good with those things. Literally just enjoying anything that is made of Klipat Noga elevates your body, elevates your animal soul, and elevates the spiritual energy behind that item. And so Shabbos is a very special time. And with that, it's almost Shabbos, so have a good Shabbos.